Growing up, we had sheep. My grandpa bought sheep because he had a giant field and he didn't want he didn't want to have to mow it. So he bought some sheep.
Oh,
And they just scared us. They would chase us every time we went out into the field, and we'd have to go out in the field to get to the trampoline. And his favorite practical joke was to tell my brother that the gate was closed when it wasn't, so that he would go out there and the sheep would chase him.
We have goats.
Yeah.
But,
so we're going to talk about sheep trauma today?
Yeah.
I mean, that's church, right?
That's... Welcome back to the Ministry Without Hating It podcast, a ministry of Odyssey Haven coaching and counseling dedicated to the pursuit of answering the question, is it possible to do ministry without hating it? We have a theory that it just might be. Brenton?
Yes.
We're recording this at the beginning of the summer.
Yep.
But this is not coming out till the end of the summer.
Yeah, I'm taking the summer off.
So preemptively, how do you think your summer went?
Preemptively, it was the best summer I've ever had.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Best.
Best
Why would you predict that?
Well, because I am a full-on optimist all the time. It's butterflies and rainbows.
Speaking it into existence.
And I'm going to spend a lot of time with my family, my kids this summer, and I am very much looking forward to the vacations and the things that we're going to be doing together.
That's good. That's good.
Yep.
I'm with you. I don't know if I'd classify it as the best. Last summer is going to be pretty hard to top, especially for our family. We did that big West Coast drive out, take our time, hit Disney, all the things, and we still talk about it almost daily. But I'm sure my summer was great. I'm looking forward to time with family as well, some trips here and there, and resting, some downtime. So I'm with you. So here's to the great summer that we both had.
Yep.
That we don't even know about yet.
Cheers.
Oh, the miracle of technology and podcasting. Hey, we've got a banger of an episode coming up. We just had a fantastic conversation, very free-flowing, natural, easy and fun to talk to, but also get to some really, really real things, and that is with Pastor Melissa Brotherton. She is a pastor in Boulder, Colorado. She's also for the Central District, a women's leadership mobilizer, and had some really, really great, profound things to say that I don't think I had even thought about. Would you agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly. I think being a man and you being a man, we just get a very different perspective, and it's needed and helpful in just everything that we talked about. I think it unpacked it well.
Well, and what's great about too is people are going to see here, there's really no condemnation that's even brought within her. She's just a very matter of fact, like this is just the reality of it is, but that we can do things differently and we can empower and we need each other. It's not even a male versus female and one over the other. That really is, we've got to do this together as image bearers for Christ. And so really, really excited for people to hear this episode. And so we've talked a lot already. And without further ado, we hope you enjoy our conversation with Melissa Brotherton. Well, it is our privilege and pleasure to welcome Melissa Brotherton to the podcast. Melissa, you're here. You made it.
Thank you. I'm glad to have arrived.
You arrived.
We had another guest say that, and I didn't believe them when they said it. So if that, for you, we'll take it. We'll take it.
This is it.
Yeah, take it.
I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, good. We're excited to have you here. We like to start off by asking some questions that have nothing to do with ministry, but almost always head there anyways. Yeah, almost always. So the first one, describe yourself in 3 words.
Well, I would say creative, spontaneous, and inquisitive.
Okay. Very interesting. To tell us about those words.
I would never, it's interesting to me that the first word I usually choose to describe myself as creative because growing up, I never thought I was creative.
Okay.
I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I think just I had specific ideas about what it meant to be creative. So you needed to be able to paint, or you needed to be able to do these things, and they never turned out the way I thought. So I thought since my talent wasn't in these specifically creative skills, that I was not a creative person. And then kind of as I grew and got more confident and also understood more about what it means to be a creative person, I'm a writer. I knit. I love photography. I love to make food and then I'm just creative. I realize the way I view the world tends to be I'm apostolic. So I tend to be pretty creative in how I view the world.
Yeah.
And so it's been like, I embrace that and recognize it doesn't always have to look the same I think everybody's creative. We just are creative in different spheres. So
that's good. That's good. Mm-hmm. So your second word was a little bit triggering for a planner like me. And that was spontaneous.
Yeah.
And you're laughing because you're like, oh, bless your heart. Go ahead.
No, I'm a planner. Like, I love me some strategy. I bullet journal. I make lists of the things I've already done so I can mark them off to show I've done them.
That's right.
But I also recognize I pick up new habits. Like, I think I maybe have ADHD, but I'm undiagnosed. But like, just everyone else in my family is diagnosed with ADHD. So I don't want to claim that. Like, I'm not, but I think my impulsivity and like, I love surprises. I'm always like, I wish right now that instead of doing what I'm doing, I could just go out on a road trip and drive somewhere for 8 hours and be like, I love adventure. I love starting new things. So I think that's where the spontaneity, like the target dollar spot has never had something I don't want. And
interesting.
So
I also just laughed because you said instead of doing this podcast, you'd rather be on an 8-hour road trip. So
no, not doing this podcast,
but other ones.
I think just when I'm driving my car, sometimes going somewhere, I'm like, what if I just got on the freeway and drove and we just could go? Like, that is the life, to just be able to do whatever I want and at any minute.
That's really, I didn't. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm a little caught off guard because I everything you just said, strategist, bullet points, checking them off. Like, I put them in there so I can check them. I put meetings in there so I know that I feel like I actually did something today. Yeah. But there's nothing inside of me that says, let's just get in a car and go, and who knows where we're going to go, because I'm a very point A to point B. I think this has nothing to do with the interview, but I'm curious how those can coexist in the same space.
Maybe it's because I don't actually often give in to the impulse. Like, I do the strategy. I recognize the importance in caring for others, but I think there's sometimes where it's like the freedom to be able to just do that. But that's where it has to be planned for me to be free to do that.
Okay.
Like, freedom. I would feel guilty to just go do that. Like, I don't just go spend money because we have a budget and I'm
okay.
So the freedom to be able to just go do that sounds like that's a luxury, to be able to live your life that way.
And it probably sparks the creative side of things as well. Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes sense.
Because I do hate routines. Like, that's, again, probably the apostolic or just whatever. I don't like maintaining. I like starting new things. So
really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So the last word then, inquisitive, which I love as well. It's a great way of, even because we talk about a lot of just staying curious. Pull that out for us for you.
I think part of that comes from, again, probably a recovering know-it-all. And so I love to learn, and me being inquisitive and reminding myself I don't know everything all the time helps me to be humble and to listen to other people and to, so that's, I think it's a value for me, because I know maybe my tendency is to not be that way. And so, to listen to people who don't have the same opinion as me or the same beliefs as me, to know that I don't know everything, and what I don't like. I want, that saying, like, you don't know what you don't know. I want to know what I don't know. Like, I want that always to be like, help me. I glean all of it. I want if I could go to school for the rest of my life, I would just get degree after degree after degree. Like, I just would love it.
Wow.
So
Interesting. It's a
there's so
really,
much.
it's fascinating combination already. Like I said, so Brent and I, we don't know you as well. We're getting to know you even more here. And so that's just a really interesting combination.
And what we're doing is building a profile for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn.
This is the secret.
Only $39.95.
This is how we get information on all leaders across.
Your AI, and we are building.
Yeah.
I don't believe I've ever been accused of being AI, but that's first for everything. All right. If your life was captured in the expectation versus reality meme, what are the two pictures?
He said it's such like a robot right there. It's like, if your life was like a right.
I think people probably assume I'm loud and at a party and energetic and wanting, like, that's my life is let's party. And the reality is that the picture is I'm sitting at home in a love seat with my cat and a blanket, knitting and reading a book at the same time. And so that, on a rainy Washington day. So that's probably, I'm an introvert and I present as an extrovert.
Okay. Once again, fascinating to me because I am an introvert and in no way do I think I ever project that I am the opposite of that. So how does that coexist in the same space?
Well, I think I came from a very loud family. I'm the oldest of 3, but then the oldest of like 20 something grandchildren, and just a very big, loud family. And I love to have parties, and I did acting through school. And so I'm good at like playing the part and being like, I can be the host and I can be the, but usually on a Sunday at some point I turn to my husband and say my introvert or my extrovert has died and it's time.
Yes.
And so I can do it. And I thrive in it. It's that balance, right? Like I can extrovert to an unhealthy place and I can introvert to an unhealthy place. And so, but I think probably I present more because most people see me in that space of being the loud, crazy, goofy Melissa and not the other part.
I wonder, this is just speculation, if a lot of ministry leaders are kind of like that, because I can think of, on Sundays especially, there is a bit of I'm on, not that I'm putting on any kind of facade or anything like that, but it's, it is a little bit more of, with the help of the Holy Spirit, pushing me to be more extroverted and conversational and things like that. And so I wonder if that's actually a lot of ministry leaders would fall into that category.
Yeah. I think that that's definitely true because it's the model that we think you have to be, right?
Yeah.
And it's the acceptable persona, which again, not like you said, not being fake. It's not like I'm not being myself,
right?
But it's just that we're multifaceted, and so,
because I definitely reach a point on Sunday. I think the running joke is I can't be held responsible for what I say past a certain time of the day because I've already expended all the good words, right? All of the.
My wife and I have a joke. I don't make decisions as soon as service is over. I don't care where we go to eat. I don't care anything else. Like my decision maker is over. I'm done.
Done. Checked out.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. See
you on Monday or Tuesday for you because I know you're off on.
Actually, I switched. I'm on Fridays now.
Congratulations! You have a weekend.
I have my first ever.
How does that work though?
What do you mean? How does it work?
I'm just curious. Like, I am so exhausted on Sundays afterwards that for me, Monday is a really good day because I need my brain not to function.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, how does that work for you going into Monday? Like, are you brain dead or are you just good to go?
So
I go first. Yeah, go.
I am. It is definitely a down day, but most of the congregation doesn't know I switched, so nobody knows I'm here. And I sneak in and I do the things kind of like behind the scenes that take very little brain power, but they need to get done anyway. I'll do a little bit of light writing and stuff like that and admin work. And then I come in on Tuesday and I'm ready to roll. And then by the time Thursday's over, I got Friday and most of Saturday just clear. It's nice. I feel like I'm cheating. I've never had this as part of my life. And like, I just like awoke a new thing in my life. So Yeah,
Good. I love it.
It was a shift. I'm a bit different than him. I actually do exert more, but it actually engages the creative side. I actually call it content creation because it's not always. So I turned, basically what I'm trying to say is I turned my Monday into my message prep for the next week. And so it's actually been helpful, especially in a series. I can springboard right into where we were just at. It's still somewhat fresh. Doesn't mean I get it all finished on Monday, but the bulk of the prep is done on that day. And I take advantage of, the office is closed. Nobody else is here. I very rarely get interruptions unless, whatever pops up. And so I'm able to just kind of be in this little hobbit hole and do my work and get that done. But I shifted this. This is when I first came here to Cedar Rapids. So it's been a little over 4 years ago. I had one of our leadership came to me and said, we really think you need to, just as a protection, we want you to have a weekend so you can have consecutive days off. And at the time I had not done that. And so it's worked out because now Lindsay doesn't work on Friday either. So when the kids are in school, we both have that day together. And then Saturday becomes our family Sabbath. And it's just been a rhythm that I enjoy and works for me. So
that makes a lot of sense. So
there you go.
Maybe somebody will want to change their habits after this week. And they're like, oh, wow. Maybe there's new life in this.
This is good.
You've influenced me.
All right, before I pivot away from this section, because we already got deep, the burning question that everybody wants to know, what are your top 3 used emojis? Or I'll even give you animated GIFs, as Brenton has cleared up for us many moons ago.
I'm glad you say it correctly.
Well, I don't always do it, but I know he does.
I think my top one is, the emoji where they're like the grin, where it's just the teeth. Because I'm typically saying something that is sarcastic or cringeworthy. So that one comes out quite a bit.
Okay.
And then the crying, laughing emoji, not the tilted one, but the straight on one, because it's serious laughter.
Oh, serious laughter.
Seriously.
Okay.
And then the pink heart that has multiple hearts in it because it's extra loving. And it's unique. I don't want to use the one that other people use.
Interesting. I always thought that was like the Grinch and his heart growing.
Oh.
Obviously, I don't use that one a whole lot. So
that happens to me all the time.
I steered clear of that. You know what, though? Can we really actually interpret what all these emojis mean? Because, what does cool guy emoji mean? Do we even know? Or is it just do with shades?
I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Or he's blind.
Oh, that got dark fast. Okay.
It's not dark. He can just be blind.
Technically, if you think he's blind,
then it would be dark. Yes.
That's a bad dad joke. All right. Save us from ourselves. Let's move on.
I'm refraining.
Let's move on. Oh, wow. Anyway, Melissa, so as we're getting to know you, tell us, what are your roles as you would define them in ministry right now?
I am the lead pastor of Hope Boulder Church in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
And I've been here it was 3 years in January that I got installed or appointed.
Okay.
And then I am the women's mobilizer for the Central District of Foursquare churches.
Okay.
And
what does that mean? For those maybe unaware.
Sure. So the women's mobilizer is for the district. I'm part of the district team that helps to support and encourage and resource and champion women. And I lead a team of regional women's mobilizers. So we provide care and connection to the women in our district. And we celebrate the things they're doing by sharing their stories. And we collaborate with other teams in the district to support women in a wide range of roles. So it's not just for senior leadership, but it's emerging leaders and leaders in transition. And so just trying to identify the obstacles and the gaps that kind of hinder women from thriving in their calling. And then sometimes I work with men also, because I know that mentoring and developing women can be an interesting thing when it's cross-gender development and discipleship. Yeah. And so being able to help with that, some of them, it's just encourage them, it's okay. You can do that.
We're allowed to do this now?
But I think, because there's such a stigma against it, right? Yeah. And so there are people that they're like, hey, did I say this right? Or is this, there's just a lot of the questions that, was this allowed or is this okay? And honestly, my biggest development and mentorship has been from men. And so if not for them, I would not probably be doing what I'm doing.
So, well, okay. So talk to us about that. Because I think that plays into, sounds like maybe some of your story and even where you found yourself today. Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, I grew up in church. I got saved when I was 4. I kept doing it because I kept thinking maybe I didn't do it right. But I did grow up. I went to a private Christian school and did all of the things you're supposed to do. I started volunteering in church when I was in 6th grade, I think. I'd walk myself to church and go volunteer in the Sunday school. And church really became, as I grew and my family went through separation, and church became like home. And so for me, I just wanted to be there as much as possible. And so I volunteered and I thought I'd love to work here and do this. But in my context where I was at, even though it was a Foursquare church, I didn't see any women who were in like leadership. If the women were volunteering or they were doing admin, or so I didn't quite know. And then I remember one time in prayer, I got this vision of me speaking on a stage in front of a crowd. And I said, oh, I'm going to be a pastor's wife. God told me I'm going to be a pastor's wife because I didn't know any other way that I would be on a stage talking.
Sure.
And so ultimately ended up, after I graduated, I went to Life and spent a year there, but also wasn't quite sure like what track I was supposed to be in and what that looked like. And
was it Life Bible College then, or was this Life Pacific?
Bible College.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
in Southern California.
Yep.
My husband and I, we were dating at the time. We started dating when we were 17. We both went down there to go to school, and they had a pastoral track. It did not seem that was for men. And I don't know that was explicitly said, but it was implicit because there was no women in the track. And so I wasn't quite sure what ministry looked like for me. So I kind of took a pause. We got married at 20. I had 4 kids in 7 years.
Whoa. All right.
Yeah. So, and just trying to figure out what my ministry was like, and really because I knew Josh had a call to pastoral ministry. I felt like for us, we were going to be in ministry together, and my ministry was always our ministry. I am very driven and I am very visionary. So I was kind of like, hey, we have to go back to Bible college. We have to, and not that it wasn't against that's what he wanted as well, but I didn't know what it looked like for me. And so I had only gone to Life for a year because I didn't honestly know what I was wanting to do. I ended up going back to do the degree completion program online when I had 2 little kids at that point. And that was the first place that somebody actually said, like, I had my own calling, that it wasn't our calling. Like, yes, we could both maybe have a call to ministry, but what God had for me was maybe separate.
Yeah.
And so, because every time we'd served in ministry, it always had been together. We are serving in a youth group. We are doing young adults. We are, and so, yeah, I started at that point trying to figure out what that looks like. Like, how do I have my own ministry and my own calling? What is it God's asking me to do? And, the churches we were at, I served in kids ministry and admin but never saw an opportunity to speak or to lead on my own or do anything like that. And honestly, it wasn't until we'd probably been serving in ministry. It was like in our 30s that I actually got fired from a church. And I don't know actually, but
okay.
That's a whole other story.
Great.
It just was not a good environment. I think it was not a good fit. And so we moved out to Colorado, and it was when we moved out to Colorado about 10 years ago, we came out to plant. We really felt this call to plant, and we knew that the Gateway District had a really good planting program that they were running at the time. So we came out here to do that. And Chad Carroll was the leader of that at the time, and his church was here. And so we thought, well, let's go to his church, because what better place to get organic development and to build that relationship than to be at the church of the person in charge of this. And so we started at that church in Colorado and spent 7 years there. And Chad was a really champion for me. He was the first one to kind of recommend or say, you know, when we talked about our plant, like he said, I think Melissa should be the lead. And that wasn't anything against my husband. He's an amazing leader. He is a shepherd and a teacher, and we are partners in what we do, but we have different skill sets and giftings. And I think he saw that what I was doing to put Josh in that type of role was actually really frustrating for him, and he hated it. And so we and
that's the role of like lead is what you're talking about.
And so we ended up we were there through COVID. I started working for the district doing, you know, freelance stuff. I had 800 different jobs, as you do in ministry.
Yes. And in COVID. And in COVID.
Yes. And so, and then the opportunity came up to take Boulder. And this was a place that I really, from the time we moved here, had been just a city I loved. And I think maybe it's the Northwest in me that I love its quirkiness. And it reminds me of Portland, or, you know, it's very unusual and I just love it. And so when I found out that it was available, at first I really pushed back on doing it, because for a lot of reasons, but that weren't godly. But I
probably share them. I understand. Yeah.
Eventually, my people pleasing part of me, I pushed back on it for quite a while. But then it was where we're supposed to be, and we love it. And so, but I think, you know, like Chad really, he championed me. He gave me opportunities to speak and to lead and to do the things I needed to do that gave me the confidence to know that I could do this. And then he introduced me and opened doors to people that also mentored me and supported me. And so that really made it possible for me to build the relationships I did. And then I also did the MASL, which was the first one, the Masters from Life, that was the first one that was based in our district. And so I got to know people in our district, and like Timmy Hensel was in my cohort with me, and he, there'd be moments where I remember one time I wasn't saying, I felt like I talked too much. I shouldn't say anything. And he was like, Melissa, why aren't you sharing? And I said, I just feel like I talk too much and I overpower. He said, your voice is important. And so moments like that, to know that I'm allowed to be in this space and I'm allowed to take up space, and to fulfill my calling. Like, it's not that they gave me permission, because that's not the role that it was of like but it was that encouragement
empowerment.
So it's just that there's a lot women, I mean, we all have to overcome a lot when we step into leadership, right? But there's a lot women have to overcome that makes it really difficult. And so they were people that Gary Donahue, Tammy Donahue, Harriet Maurer, like they all just encouraged me and poured into me.
Some amazing voices you just mentioned, even just right there, to empower it. I wonder if you could speak to just for a second, because we're two men. We're not going to know. We don't know. We don't know.
Astute observations.
Yeah, we don't know. And I'm not even going to pretend to. So you talked about some of the things like that, the challenges that you as women face. And there may be some we just know from stories, but could you maybe unpack some of that for us as you were talking about the challenges or the context or the different things that you face that Brent and I will never have to?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, just to pause on that, I think you two are people that I find to be huge champions of women in ministry leadership, and you are supportive of the women around you. And so while you say you don't know, I think you do, because you listen to them. So I just want to acknowledge that I appreciate that in you guys as leaders. But I think Kelly Schmidt, she's about to be a doctor, but she's a Foursquare ordained minister. She is a professor at George Fox, and she one time broke it down into that women have in 3 different categories of things we deal with that are obstacles. There's psychological, there's sociological, and there's relational.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the right one. I'm gonna have to look it back up. But
relating to relationships in some form or fashion.
So we deal with these in and of ourselves. Women deal with the idea that we're not allowed to be at the table. So it's scientifically proven that if a woman, in like a study, if there's a job opening available and women see that they meet 90%, they won't apply for it unless they think they meet like 90% of the qualifications for the role. Where men will apply if they think they meet 60% of the qualifications for the role.
Yeah.
And that's a stereotype, right? Like there's obviously variation within gender, but I think that it is predominantly a truth that we feel that women do feel that just in and of ourselves, we discount ourselves. We can hold ourselves back. I think there's times, like I was mentioning, where we're given a seat at the table and we feel afraid to sit and take it. Because there's also that like sociological element of we're dealing with they did another study where they talked about they did 2 profiles of leaders, same education, same qualifications, same accomplishments, all of that. On one, they said a male name and male pronouns. On another, they did a female name and female pronouns. That's all they changed between the 2 of them. And they said, what's your impression of this person? And they said, well, the man is assertive and a strong leader, and I'd want to follow him, and like all these things. And with the women, they were saying she's you don't have to bleep that out, but they were calling her names. They were saying she sounds awful to work for. She seems manipulative. She seems full of herself. And, you know, when a woman is driven and wants to succeed, has ambition, it's viewed as a negative thing. Whereas with a man, it's viewed as a positive thing. And so there's even how you walk into a room. I mean, walking into a room and being the only one of your gender is a daunting thing. We had a gathering last year at our Foursquare Connection where we had a room full of women leaders, and the district supervisors were all invited, and one of them showed up, and he's a man, and he walked into the room, and he was the only man in the room, and he was like, whoa. And Carrie Jenkins, who's the lead women's mobilizer for Foursquare, turned to him and said, this is what all of the women in this room have experienced at one point.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I just think that, you know, on top of, theological. It's not relational. It's theological.
Theological.
So it's psychological, sociological, and theological. Because we deal with being told that what we do is a sin and unbiblical, and we're false teachers. And I had somebody one time come up to me and my husband, and he found out in the conversation, discovered that I'm the lead pastor of the church. And he looked at me and he said, well, I'm a prophet. And just so you know, like, and I was like, just so you don't stop. I don't need you if we want to have a conversation about this, we can do this. This isn't the time and place, but if you want to, we can certainly exegete passages that you want to bring up. I'm happy to have that conversation, but I also don't need you to tell me that what I'm doing is allowed, because I have leaders who I respect and love, and I know value the word, and they've wrestled with this and they affirm me. And so I'm good with that. But he looked at my husband and was like, what's wrong with you? And so the problem is that the women aren't the only ones dealing with it. The men have to also. My husband has to be confident enough in himself and in his calling and his identity and who he is, that he's not threatened by me being a leader and thriving and doing the things I'm doing, because it doesn't have to, people think it says something about him, but it doesn't. And he has to be willing to take that on also. Chad had people come to him and say, your church is dying because you allow women to speak in your pulpit. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just the women that deal with this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just, those are things I hear from women all the time, that they're uninvited from the ministerial associations in their towns, or that when they're invited, nobody else will show up. Like, it's
silly.
Awful.
Yeah.
It's so awful.
Awful is a better word for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One time I was asked to speak at one of the regional gatherings or something, and I was asked specifically the question that they wanted me to address the people like attending, not leadership, but they said, can you help us to know how we can develop and lead the men in our church without like in a respectful way, or like it was just something about how do we do this. And I turned to my friend who's a director at a very big company. And I asked her just, hey, have you ever had this question? Like, do you guys wrestle with this? Like how you lead the men who are, and she laughed. She was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Why would you ever ask that question? Like, why would anybody ever worry about how to do this and still be respectful to them, or just, and it's just, it's such an interesting thing within the church.
No, you're right. You're right. Because, and I'm not saying this just because there are a lot of things I think you take it outside of the church and we just act differently because that's just what you do. And you know what I mean? Even just down to like my opinion for literally everything must matter. Like you don't go into McDonald's and tell them how they need to change their menu and all the things like that. Right. So that aside, people, for some reason we get inside the church and it's like, oh, everything's different. And some things are, but we also, I think some people just kind of check their brain at the door or something, and it becomes this whole different thing. So navigating this, and we've had it here. I mean, I have several pastors who are women. Our executive pastor is a woman here. My wife is very much in the pulpit. She's an ordained Foursquare minister as well. And so, and we hear that we've had people. Oh, thank you. I think so too. I
love her.
Well, we've had people even recently, people who were here for years prior to us even getting here. And it was like, all of a sudden they woke up and were like, oh, wait, there's women pastors. We just can't in good conscience be here. Those were actually written words to me. Yes. And I'm like, well, there's the door then, I guess. I don't want to be a burden on your conscience. So I totally understand. Which
then, though, as a woman, our response is, are we hurting this church? Should we step back? Are we trying to just get our own, like, is this selfish for me to continue to do this if this is hurting the church? Like, that comes up so much. Like, wow. maybe, and we're told that. Like, it's not only something we're heard here, but like, I personally have talked to pastors in the last 6 months who've been told, you should let your husband lead and be the lead pastor so that the people can become more comfortable with it.
And I'm curious what his response in that kind of, outside of probably curse words, but what is, what are the things that, like? Yeah, I mean, for the husbands in those situations are typically like, well, I don't want to do that, first of all. Yeah. Or, like, it's just not, it's not their calling. It's not what they're being asked to do. So I need to be obedient to the Lord. Yeah. And this is what the Lord is saying. And this is how we should function. But it is then become a battle in our mind and a place for the enemy to attack us, to say, you're just selfish. You just want the role. You just want the platform. You just want the recognition. You should step down and let somebody else do it, because that's going to make it easier. And then your church will grow and you can still lead, and you can let them know. And it just happens a lot. Wow. So what is your encouragement maybe then to, because we can talk all day about, I know Brenton hasn't even spoke, but we got some of the horror stories. What is the encouragement within this that you would say? Not that this is a magic bullet by any means, sure. But I mean, what do you, as you're walking with, and you've had an opportunity in this role to walk with women in senior leadership probably, but in all walks, what is your encouragement as you walk along with them? I think the encouragement there is that
I would say in my personal experience, especially within Foursquare, we are at a space where we are finding more resources and more support and more ways to combat a lot of that and to combat the theological things. And I think and all of it, the psychological, the sociological, like you have to be in community with other leaders. You have to be in a place, and this is for pastors, right? Like, because right now we're talking about the specific attacks that are happening towards women, but men are also being attacked in their leadership and in their decisions and in what they're doing. And so to have a community, I'm reading right now, Todd Bolsinger's book, Tempered Resilience, and he talks about the like different spheres of network and group that you need to have. And I need to, it's like I'm listening to it on audiobook. And as it was going, I was like, I now have to go buy the book and like highlight, and I have to plan. This is where the strategy comes in. I have to make a piece of paper with the categories and go, who are these people, to make sure I have all of this, because ministry can be very lonely, and you can definitely get to a spot where you think I'm the only one. So for me, I'm in a pastoral care group under Church Wellco that is for female lead pastors. And this is a space, I know, I love it. This is a space where I once a month get to have these conversations and say, this is what I'm wrestling with, and this is what I'm dealing with, or this is what happened. And so that's one space, but then I have friends that I can talk to, and because we need people that help us to know, don't give up, and you're not being selfish. And even in my role as a women's mobilizer, I have to advocate for things that I frequently am feeling anxious about advocating for, because I feel like people are annoyed by me bringing it up so much, or different things like that, that I really struggle with. The people pleaser in me doesn't like having to put myself out there. And also, we're not supposed to be forceful, and we're not supposed to be opinionated, and we're not, right? And so for me to say these things is deeply uncomfortable. And when I say that to some of my friends, I'm like, oh, this is so hard. And they're like, you're not doing it just for yourself.
Yeah.
This is for the other women. This is for the other pastors. This is for the men and women. Like, we will function best, most effectively, when it's the entire body of Christ working together.
Yeah.
And so we don't want men to not serve. We don't want to take places that men, we just want us all to be functioning together, and it to be a safe space for us to be able to be the image bearers of Christ in our community and in our world. And so that's my encouragement, is just like, your voice is important. Keep saying yes. Focus on deliverance ministry. Spend time with your spiritual practices. Do the things like defeat the lies of the enemy that are in your life. Go to a counselor and wrestle through the things you're struggling with on your own. Have a community of people that remind you why you're doing it, that are the, people holding your arms up on either side. Like, as a spouse, like, be, for men who have wives who are in, like, keep reminding her that what she's doing is important, and that her yes is okay. Like, we get questions all the time, who's with your kids or what's happening? And like, I mean,
just let them play in the street now.
Who's with yours? What do you mean? They're the ones lighting things on fire. What are you talking about?
Aren't they missing you? Don't you want to be there for those things? Like, all of it. And yes, family is important, but also, like, don't make us feel guilty for doing what we're doing. And so, I just think, like, those are the things that keep me going when I'm, want to give up and struggling. And we were talking about our Sabbath ritual. For me, I started about 7 years ago, and I haven't been perfect in it, but Mondays, I take 2 hours of silence and solitude. And I go out in the mountains up here in Colorado, or I go out, there's like a animal sanctuary that I'll go drive through and sit by buffalo.
Wow.
And
wow, that's awesome.
But part of that for me is a reminder that I have to be still, and I'm not responsible for everything, because I can be such a planner and I rely on my own education or experience or skills or whatever. And I think like, I take responsibility for things. So to start my week in a space where I'm not being productive and I'm not being efficient and there's no purpose, and I can't walk away saying this is the result of this time. And instead I'm just sitting in God's presence, helps me to be centered and to remember my identity of who I am and that that's what's important. And then and to be encouraged by the Spirit. And that's just such a good, that's what I need. So that's where, what I do on my Mondays.
That's good.
Seems like
That's
that might be good for a lot of us.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. My first thought when you said 2 hours was like, what? Like, cause it's funny. I definitely on our Sabbath Saturday, I love to ease into that. But it's not as easy to have just the 2 hours of the silence and solitude, but that sounds like it would be amazing.
I think it takes my brain that long to settle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the first half hour or so is like just sometimes I'll bring, the first time I tried to do it, I brought a journal and I brought some watercolors and I brought my sermon prep stuff and I brought all this stuff because I was going to go and be silent in solitude to the best of my ability. And it just was, that's not the purpose. And so Harriet Maurer is the one that actually introduced me to that. I did it at a summit that I went to for the end of my women in ministry leadership cohort that I did back in 2018. And it takes that amount of time for me to settle and pay attention.
How has that, just to kind of focus on that for a second, how has that, have you seen that translate into not just life, maybe ministry as well when you're talking about that?
Yeah, I think it has helped me to become a much more contemplative person. In fact, one of my services I alternate on Sundays at our church between a contemplative service and a more traditional service. And our church sits
like within Sunday or, oh, wow.
Yeah. We do worship and Lectio Divina, and we sit in silence for 5 minutes as a community.
And you do that instead of the message or you're, wow. How does that go?
It's the most attended service. It's the one people prefer, which maybe says something about my preaching.
I mean, you said it. You went there first. So
drop your live stream because I'm sure people
want to. There's no live stream for it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's good.
We sit and then we sit around a table and everybody talks about what they heard.
Yeah.
People ask questions. I do it because I feel like, the Bible talks to us about spiritual disciplines and we personalize it, but the Bible was written to a community. And so these disciplines were meant to be lived out in community. And so I do it because it helps people to learn how to hear, that they can hear from God. Like, it's almost like you're tricking them into it because you say, what word was highlighted and then you say, okay, you heard from God. God spoke to you in that. It reduces the risk. And then having a conversation and then people also get to just ask questions about scripture. And so what does this mean? I don't know. And I want everybody at my church to know that their voice is important, that they can hear from God, that we can learn from them. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I see the value and the importance of, I'm just trying to, in my mind, go, how would our church respond if I said, hey, instead of, and to credit, that sounds like they're stuck in their ways, and they are definitely not. We definitely do things differently throughout the year. We have an entire once a year to reinforce our community focus and value. We don't actually have a service, like they are in home, and we have one group here, and they're all doing the same thing, but it's all more community based and that kind of thing. And everybody, it's like you said, it's the engagement in that has been really, really great. And so I'm not saying they're against it, but there can be some times where people go, yeah, that's probably my limit right there.
Sure.
And I'm curious how you walked them. Like you said, did you walk them into that, or did you just drop it and we're going to do this?
I'm in Boulder. So that's part of it, is it's a community that embraces like spiritual practices. And so I think there's maybe a bit more of a context and an environment for that here. And they're okay with weird. I think also we were a restart. So we had 2 people when we started the church.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We have like 20 now.
So you essentially were a church. Did you ever plant, by the way? I don't know if you ever said, it was
a church plant.
This became your church plant.
Yeah. It was a church plant. And so, we just started with it. We did, our first Sundays were some more traditional. And then this was always the goal, was to have kind of a choose your own adventure Sunday. And so ultimately,
I love that.
having, the goal was eventually to have like a contemplative portion in the morning, and then a more traditional, and then maybe have like a small group of tables and serve lunch or something, so people could engage in whatever portion of the Sunday worked for them. Now, it's not tested yet, so I don't know if it actually would work, but that's kind of what we'd like to get to eventually. I think just helping people to build community. And when there's biblical literacy, when it's low, helping people to understand how to engage with scripture in different ways and learn. Sometimes I think for me, where I'm at in my context, if I was to just preach every Sunday, that doesn't help them to learn how to study the scriptures for themselves.
Yeah.
And so that was a need in our area. And so just for my context, I don't know that I did not do this at the other church we were at, but when we were praying and assessing what Boulder needed, this is what we felt drawn to.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I feel like this is actually a good time to ask this question, because we do this more at the top type of a thing. And thank you for leading us on your journey, and how, even as a woman, your journey has shaped you and where you're at, and even the role you're in now. I am curious though, how you would define the word ministry today.
For me, ministry, I kind of reference it in that idea of we are just called to be, so our original purpose, we were created in God's image to be his image bearers on the earth. So that was the ministry we had. We were to steward the earth. We were to fill the earth. We were to be present with God and to engage with one another. That was ministry. And then it got all messed up. And I feel like when Jesus came, his death on the cross and his resurrection was to restore us to that original. It wasn't just to save us so someday we can be disembodied souls that goes to heaven, but it is that we are to be image bearers here on the earth. His kingdom here is back, and we've been restored to that place. And so everything we do, in my mind, is ministry. Our ministry calling is maybe it's in a marketplace or it's in our home, but it's being attuned to what God is speaking to us and how he's asking us to show up in the place where we're at. Some people, like me, my vocation is to help people, to spread this word, and to help in bulk people to do this, and to engage with my community around me. But some people, it's individual. I think originally I would have said ministry was to vocationally work in a church, and it's about doing church work. But my opinion on that really shifted when I was in my 20s, and we started serving lunch to college students after church on Sundays. My husband ran the cafe at Life Bible College. We had been the college pastors. None of them would show up on a Friday. They're all Bible college students. They didn't need to come and get more Bible learning or, so they weren't coming. They loved us, but they weren't coming. And so we shut it down. But I knew the school didn't serve lunch on Sundays, and they drove 20 minutes to our church to come. So, and I had 3 kids at this point and couldn't go out to eat anymore. And I loved to cook. So I started serving them lunch on a Sunday after church, and they started inviting people to church so they could come to lunch afterwards.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is ministry. I'm feeding people. We're providing an environment for them to engage with one another. They're having conversations about God, but they're also just having conversations about their life. And this is ministry. And that's really shifted my perspective and my philosophy for how I choose ministry. So I have a knitting group that meets at my church twice a week. None of them come to my church. This has been going on for 2 years, but they come into my church, and I am there with them, and I get to minister to them. And they're not, I do put them on my hub report, but
they're there,
but they're not members of my church. They're not and that's okay, because it's not, I think it's valid. We need to have measures and all that, but I also think that it's just the way we show up in the world.
Yep.
For people who don't know, the Hub report is one of the metrics of our reporting of numbers of things that take place. We love our numbers, but you're right. There's some things you just can't quantify.
Right.
So
we do a men's coffee group, and a lot of our community comes, and most of them don't come to the church. It's just a chance to connect and be like, hey, we're really not weird people. We just we can hang.
Yeah.
No, Hugh Halter. Go ahead. I was just going to say, Hugh Halter one time said, you have to introduce people to the people of God before you can introduce them to God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that really stuck to me. Like there, especially in Boulder, the opinion on Christians and who we are and what we stand for and how we're going to treat people is so bad. And so I first have to create a space and an environment where it's safe, and I have to go into their spaces. I can't. And that's what I'm really increasingly encouraging my congregation to do is like, we need to go volunteer at the city events. We need to go volunteer at the city organizations. We need to be present in the city. And so that way we can build relationship with people that are absolutely not going to walk through our doors.
Right. Right. I think it was kind of a defining moment for us as well when it came to, so we're talking about the reporting and understanding that the church can be the church. And this is going to sound silly when I say it, and like, you should have already known that, but it was a kind of a thing that there may be people who never set foot on a Sunday morning, or maybe even on if you do a midweek or something like that, or some of these community groups, but they are actively involved and are being discipled, whether they realize it or not. That's still our church. That's still an extension of, and we have to be aware of that. We have to be ready to even support and resource that.
Yes.
And that was a game changer for us in a lot of ways.
I mean, I feel like it's what Jesus did. Discipleship in my mind is not, we make it into programs and classes, but discipleship is just walking alongside people.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
As
and
you
so
go.
that's what I'm doing.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Keep it up. Don't quit.
Thanks.
That's good. Well, Melissa, this has been a really refreshing conversation. As we wind down the talk and interview with you, a question we haven't asked, actually, as we were just talking, we haven't asked this in a long time. So you get to get one of the old archived questions. But when we ask the question, how have you learned to do ministry without hating it? What is your response?
When we talked about the emojis, that's like my smiley. That I don't know that I. That's my response. No.
The grit it out.
The grin and bear it. No.
Yeah.
I think. How have I learned how to do ministry? You have to have people around you that help you to continue to push against the resistance, because there's so much resistance from ourselves and from the people we lead and from our community and just all of it. There's a lot that can make you dread or hate what you're doing, and that you lose the dream, you lose the vision and the hope, because it just feels like, I think we live in an instant gratification society. And so we expect and assume that things are going to happen when we speak and when we ask and when we decide that things are going to happen very quickly. And so being able to understand, like Eugene Peterson says, it's a long obedience in the same direction, and being able to continue to persevere and having people alongside you, because you're going to doubt and you're going to want to give up and you're going to be frustrated and mad and grieve, and those all need to happen. So don't stuff it, and don't think that because you're having those emotions that you're failing, but that you just keep asking God, like, fix your eyes on Jesus and ask him to reignite in you the passion for what it is that he's called you to do.
I love it. That's good. So community, and also relationship, your personal relationship with the Lord, and walking in that. That's good. It seems, it's interesting. We've actually heard this answer in many different ways. And I think every time I hear this, I just go, so somebody's got to be out there going, does anybody have anything different? Right. But it really is that simple. And I'm not saying any of us on this have this all figured out. But it's a great reminder.
I think it's like when people say you lose weight by eating healthy and doing exercise, and we're all like, yeah, I know that, but what's the magic bullet to make it easy?
That's right.
we don't like the answer. And so it just really is, you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other and knowing why you're doing it and what your identity is. Your identity is not in the role or in the success or failures, but your identity is as a beloved of God and as his child. And that's what we do.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Melissa, you're welcome. Thank you. I was about to say thank you to you once again for your time. We know you've got a lot going on, and you are doing important work. And so please keep putting one foot in front of the other. For that, we are grateful for all that you do. And my family has personally benefited from your investment. So I want to say thank you for all that you do, and thank you for your time here today.
Thanks for having me. It was fun talking with you guys. I love what you're doing.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to connect further with our guest, we've made ways to do so available in the episode show notes. If you'd like to connect with us further, support the podcast, or sign up for show updates, just go to withouthatingit.com to get started. And don't forget to subscribe to Ministry Without Hating It wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss our future episode releases. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.